Hi, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to class 9. So, some of the questions I want to ask you guys before we start off with today's class. So, first thing is, can you answer me how many number of steps have we completed and how many steps are there in discipline entrepreneurship? You can put in your chat window and I'll be able to read it just to ensure that you guys are with me. Awesome. So people are saying 24. Let's hear. Oh, all steps are done. That's good. Oh, three remaining. Somebody's telling three is remaining. I'm not sure what three steps are remaining. So we have completed all 24, I suppose, till previous class. All done. Okay, amazing. Fine. So the next question which I want to ask you guys is okay. So the next question I want to ask is how was your assignments? I saw that many of the teams have already submitted the assignment. What was the assignment? If you remember the last time I gave you one single slide for you to actually come up with one single slide as a team, and you have to put everything about your company, about your innovation. So I will download all of them, collate everything into one single slide deck, so that I can share it with people and tell that see how my students are doing amazing work in this course. So how was the assignments? Did you manage to put everything in one slide? You have some comments to make. You can put it on chat window. Let me know if you have any questions regarding that, or did you able to submit it? Was it easy to put everything on single slide? And what tool you use? You can put anything you want on the chat window. I'll wait for a few answers and then I'll go for my next question. Are you guys able to hear me? So my question was, have you submitted? Okay. If you have submitted, how did you submit it as a slide when you submitted? Were you able to make it into one single slide of all the things what you have done in this class? Like what is the innovation? What is the idea? What is the problem you're trying to solve? About your name, about the logo of BMSCE, your company logo and things and all those things. So people said little congested, but yes, yeah, yes, sir, you were able to do it. That's amazing. Yeah, so I agree that it was very ambitious, ambitious assignment compared to other assignments which we had done till now. But if you see, the problem is in that particular assignment, whole point was you should understand that the resources for you is not completely available. Once you have all the resources with you, then anybody can do everything what they want. They have enough money, they have people to work, they have talent, everything is there. So this was one of the example I want to show you, that the constraint here is that you should be able to have um, you are very constrained, and just one slide is really tough for you to put. The another constraint which you will really face for your final exam is that final exam is that you will be presenting whatever you have learned over the semester. It's almost like 10 to 12 classes what you have learned. So today is ninth class. We have finished 9 classes. What you have learned for around 12 classes, you will be consolidating into 7 minutes. So many assignments you guys have done and all those things. Everything you'll be consolidating to 7 minutes, which is really, I'm sure it will be tough for you guys to do it. But you have to do it. But I'm sure I'll train you guys and I'll tell you what will work, what will not work, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so Rishika is telling it was tough to put so much info in one slide, but we brainstormed and figured a creative way, so it was good because we got to know what are our priorities were exactly. So if you want to convince someone with one single slide, it can be a layman, it can be a technical person, it can be your investor, it can be anyone. So how will you convince is what you have learned in that assignments, which is good. So the next question I have is next announcement is about the quiz, because I got a lot of queries saying, do we have quiz today and things like that. I'm just figuring out that if I give a quiz, then how will you be able to answer it so that I can import your quiz marks in Canvas. So I've figured out a way for that. So I need some time to implement. Maybe next class, I'll try to give you a quiz. So the quiz will be based on whatever classes we have till now. So including today's class, I'll make some around 20 or 40 questions, and we'll spend quality time to understand each of the answers and things like that. So that we'll do it next week, not this week, so that everything you can do it on your canvas, and it automatically imports the marks in your canvas, so that manual entry of 500 students will not be will be easier for me and other faculties who are joining us today. So next question. So today we are going to cover very, very important topic is first 30 days. So, 24 steps we have covered, and today we are going to cover something as first 30 days. It's really important in your life of your first 30 days. It's more like you are born today, and first 30 days of your life is very important. So similarly, for your company to sustain longer and having good life, your first 30 days is very important, and it's very crucial. Why, I'll tell you in some time, but what do you think? So I want the answers in chat window. What do you think first 30 days you should be doing in your company? What do you think you should be doing first 30 days in your company? Should you do something very important? It can be very simple things. That 24 steps you have completed. Now that you have completed, now you have started doing something on first 30 days. What do you think you will do in your first 30 days, your enterprise for first 30 days? I'm asking you guys, so I want the answer. That what will you do? Planning an organization, looking customers and advertising the product. Okay. Anything else you will be doing in first 30 days? I'll give you some time to type. I am expecting very specific answer. Finding investors. Okay. If your product is ready, it's already you are launched, you have some customers, then yes, you'll find investors. But much before that, what is that you will be doing? Get the team together. Yeah, Mahima, that we'll discuss. That's perfect. One of the answers which I was looking at. Go to temples. Yeah, Daniel, I'm very sure we will do that. We'll go to temples. We'll go everywhere and pray that, hey, first 30 days. That we'll do on first day. Not all 30 days we'll be going to temple. Design production, strengthening our core, making the base strong and being prepared. Yeah, base is very important. I'll tell you what base is in some time. Yeah, I had that in your quiz also. Quiz in the sense, yeah, Woo clap, which you'll be trying to find customer. Yeah, attracting customers through best deals, advertisement. Yeah, marketing, advertisement is something very huge amount of money you will be spending, which you have calculated yourself in previous steps. What else? Recruiting. Yeah, perfect. Somebody told manpower. That's important. Yes, I am with you. So recruiting is very important. Being consistent. I'm not sure what it means. I'm looking for one specific answer, just to know if somebody will tell me. So financing is one, yes. What else? Taking customer review about our product. So that is like beta review, alpha review, and things like that. So alpha launch, beta launch, which you'll be doing. But will you be doing something very, file a patent or lose your IP? Yeah, filing a patent. So IPR is also important. First and first, to make yourself as visible to the people, what is that you will do? You will, how will you make yourself a legal entity? What will you do for that? Experimenting all our papers, thoughts, basically implementing it and learning the drawback. Registering the company. Yeah, Gopika. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Branding, registering for the company. Registering the company is very, very important. So without that, do anything you want, but it will be very important. So convert into LLC, okay, limited liability company, or get sued. Okay, very important term Narsimha has got us today, that is known as LLC. So let's discuss about those things. Thanks for all your answers and being active. So I have some. So I see that there are few students in Zoom 2. So you can come back to Zoom 1. There are still some places available. So grab those places in Zoom 1 if you want, or if you're comfortable in Zoom 2, please stay there. Okay, so we'll learn some new concepts today, which are very much important for your first 30 days of your company. So whatever we are discussing today for another 1.5 hours or so, or 2 hours, is that about your company and more specifically in first 30 days. So once you have, and very specific to India and little bit generic global, but we'll be learning a lot of new things today as well, though you might be knowing but you may not be knowing in specifically why you call that and things like that. So Porter's five forces model, there was a person known as Porter, he came up with five forces model. If you go to any startup or any company, this is even applicable for companies, that is MNCs and things like that, that they'll be checking five Porter's model, that is threat of entry, buyer power, competitive rivalry, threat of substitutes, and supplier power. If you see the names and terms itself, you'll be understanding what is that we are trying to tell in this particular in this particular Porter's five forces model. It forces you into five different things which you should be very cautious in doing it. I'll give you nice amazing examples which I've listed on the slides. Is threat of first one is threat of entry. So is market entry easy or difficult? Good to have high entry barrier. So for example, if you have some high entry barrier, so if you see Amazon, if you're bringing up some similar something like Amazon, or you're bringing up as similar something like Flipkart. So is it an easy way to come in that particular place is very important. So you should have very high entry barrier that except you, if somebody has to come, it's like very high barrier. For example, taxi for sure came, but it was actually goggled by Ola, I guess, or Uber, I guess Ola. So when both of them merged and it became one, so that high, if you come up, so you have Ola, you have Uber now, but Ula, if you come up with some new company, then I'm not sure if you get enough time to acquire your customers and things like that. So you should always set such that you have very high entry barrier for people coming in the same domain or as a competitors. Next is buyer power. Do you have buyer power? Do your buyers have the power to set terms and conditions? Weak buyer power is something which you should have. For example, Walmart, single or major buyer. So if you go to Walmart, if you go to more, if you go to like DMart and Big Bazaar and things like that, they're having really high buyer power. So instead of producing and selling me myself, I go give it to DMart and people like that. They sell it for me. So they have acquired the complete market, two, three of them entity. If you see booking.com is for hotels. You have hotels.com, you have Goibibo, and so on and so forth. So if you see, all these people have really high buying power. So there is one, if you see cheapest hotel in Bangalore, very luxurious and cheapest hotel in Bangalore, if you Google, then you may get some of them. But if you see that booking.com, they claim saying you go yourself into the hotel and you try to book it, you may not get the price which we are trying to do. They will also claim saying if you get lesser than us in any website, you come back to us, we'll pay you the difference, which means that at any point of time they want to make sure that you are the cheapest, they will give you very less money, and it all depends on the discounts and all. Even Oyo has to come to booking.com and things like that. That's called buyer power. Next is supplier power. Will you or your supplier have the power to set terms and conditions? For example, weak supplier power, like for example, it can be telecom provider like Geo or something. Microsoft for home users. So Microsoft, if you give very cheap price and you say that okay, it's for home users and anyone can use it, and for education purpose we give free Microsoft online version, things like that. Next is threat to substitute. If you are booking, see, I am actually a big threat to make my trip. So if I want to go somewhere, or Skyscanner, so if I want to go somewhere, I'll say Bangalore to San Francisco. If I start booking my flight, first thing is I'll go to Bangalore to San Francisco. So that's something which I will try to book the flight. I will just see the cost. So I'll see the cost and make my trip. I'll see how much discount I'm getting, what are the benefits I'm getting, and what credit card if I will use, I'll get a maximum discount. And is there any coupons? Is there any miles I can take? All those things. But ultimately, I'll go back and I'll book, like for example, Emirates, or I'll book make my trip, or I'll book I'm sorry, Emirates, or I'll book maybe Jet Airways when it was there, or Air India and things like that. So when I'm trying to book those things, yes, it's something very important that you are threat for substitutes. So Ola and Uber, they're threat to each other, which means that while, see, all of us do that. There is a company which has come out, I don't remember the name. It will tell you that if you, even Google has that, for example, it will tell you for Uber how much, for Ola how much. So whenever I used to book Ola or Uber long before pandemic, so I used to click on Ola and check the price, and it used to say 100 rupees. Then I used to go to Uber and check the price. It used to say 80. I used to take Uber. So as simple as that. So we used to do that. Yeah, Google Maps, it can, yeah, as I said, Google Maps can compare prices. Even there is a one more app, I don't remember the name. It can compare prices for a lot of things, like there are airport taxi and things like that, if you want a specific to ride to airport. So these are competitors to themselves. So rather than buying a car, Ola, they themselves are doing it, right? So it's like threat to substitutes is something which you have to look at. Next is competitive rivalry. What is competitive rivalry? Competitive rivalry is your competitor rivalry intense, which means there's less competitive intense. For example, if you see, all of us use Facebook, all of us use Snapchat, all of us use LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and everywhere you will be posting, but each of us has its own USP, such that you still use Facebook, you still use Instagram. I know Facebook is fading out, but it is trying to compete with Insta and trying to become bigger. But LinkedIn, you still use it even though you are using Facebook. Facebook is for nonsense, Insta is for something, pictures and videos, again nonsense. But once you come to LinkedIn, it's very professional. If you put nonsense, people will knock you down. So that's something, but still that rivalry is not very competitive intense, right? Bullet trains for flights. So for example, if I have to go to flight, if I have to take a flight from Bangalore to Chennai, so how much time it will take? So from here, from my house, I have to leave 2 hours before, then reach by 1 hour if it is early morning. If not, if it is a regular Bangalore traffic, 2 3 hours before I have to leave, go to airport, check in, all those procedure, another 1 hour, wait for some time, then go into the flight, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, you land in Chennai, then again landing, going back again 2 hours to reach the city and things like that. So totally I'm taking 6 7 hours. But what if we come up with something where I can do, uh, I can have a bullet train, or I can have an expressway where exactly 3 hours you will reach there instead of 5 hours which you are taking now. And again, going from Electronic City to Tamil Nadu border, again it will take time. So this is nothing but your bullet trains for flights. So can you do something like bullet train instead of flights? And if you go to Europe, you will find that the flights are cheaper than your trains many a times, and you are also faster, the waiting period and all those things. Uber versus Ola is also another competitive rivalry. So these are part of five force models which you should be looking at, all five things: threat to entity, threat of entity, buyer power, supplier power, threat to substitutes, and competitive rivalry. Now, so there is a question who says, what about Trivago? Trivago is something like, again, buyer power. Somehow, once, how does Trivago work? Correct me if I'm wrong. So, as soon as you click, it goes to one of the website where you will start booking it. So, Trivago compares everything, and finally, it will show you something you can go and book there. But they're getting a lead. They are just making the clicks. What people do based on that is what they're getting paid. And Facebook bought Instagram. Yeah, Facebook bought Instagram. As soon as you open Instagram powered by Facebook or something will come. I agree with that. Okay. So in other first 30 days, what are the things you will do is you will do some of the common legal mistakes which you are not supposed to do. So you will be very you know you will be very, you will be not sure if you are going in right direction or not, in many of the legal terms. For example, you are very unclear about how you are going to do your legal terms, and like stakeholders, shareholders, founders agreement. Like five of you will start your own company now. In your team, you are five of you, right? So you'll start your own company. At that time, you will realize that, hey, this is something uh, which we are trying to do, how much stake each of. If you remember one of the assignment I gave you, founders.com, four of you started putting some stakes for you and you started owning your company. And next is lack on clarity of rights and duties of all stakeholders. For example, if you have an employee, even you're all founders itself, three founders, two founders, you don't know what's the clarity. You should be very clear. Violation of someone else IP rights is also something which you do unknowingly. You won't be doing knowingly, but if you at this point of time, they'll not stop you if you're in early stage. They'll think that okay, bacha hai, they'll let's see if he'll grow or not. But once you grow bigger, then all the IP issues come. You will be shelling out maximum money for your legal battle rather than anything else. Not showing privacy policies to users. You should be very clear about privacy policies. You can't expect that your users will be only from India. You may have global users. So have your privacy policy in place. Wrong selection of lawyer. You'll go to a civil lawyer. You'll go to some criminal lawyer or something like that. You won't go to a corporate lawyer or someone who has experience in startup. Nowadays that itself is specialization which many of the law firms are inducting, and they're training those kind of lawyers. Choice of incorrect entity types. So you don't know what kind of entity type you're using, you're actually trying to put. That is also one of the choices. What is entity type? We'll learn in some time. Okay, so before we go to quiz, we'll understand some of the terms for name of your company. For example, if you're putting your name of your company, you have put name of your team right now, right? That may not be your company name. Even when I was at MIT, my team name was EasyBT. I don't know, some lazy name we came up with. EasyBT is what we said. EasyBT is actually. So, but later, once we formed the company, we named it as Glucotech. So that's when we remembered that there are some rules what you're supposed to do in terms of framing the names. You can't have some random names and all. So what are your company names which you will do in first 30 days? You should have something easy to remember, easy to pronounce, is short enough to communicate. That's very important. Like Uber, Ola, Flipkart, Amazon, and so on and so forth. It's Ether. So it's very small names and easy to pronounce and reflect the mission of your business. Somewhere, if you see there should be a mission, this is not necessary, but it is good so that people know your branding improves by that way. Hire a lawyer. Lawyer will do all your legal work. I'll tell you why in some time. Domain name is also very, very important. So where do you search your domain name, by the way? Any ideas? Where do you actually find if you have your domain name available or not? One of the easiest and most used way. What do you mean by domain name? www.google.com is the domain name. And so amazon.co.in, yeah, so you will do that. So you will go to GoDaddy is very famous, where you'll go and check your domain name. For example, I want hostingers. Yeah, there are many things, but usually people go for GoDaddy. They'll not purchase, at least they'll check if my domain name is available. So when you book your domain names, for example, say for example, a company name as something like EasyBT is a company name. So when you actually do that, you should check in all terms, easybt.com, .in, .biz, and so on and so forth. All the one, in spite of you will be using only one domain name. For example, if you are in India, you may be using .in or .biz or .com or anything else. But if you go to Germany, you may use .de. If you go to Netherlands, .nl. If you go to US, .com again. So it all depends on from which place or which city you are from. So it's very important that you should be very comfortable in having all the domain names purchased. Many a times, one of the people, there is a lot of them who actually purchase as soon as you become famous. Not as soon as you become famous. If there is a clue that your company will become famous, so they'll start purchasing your domains. Ola, for example, Ola, if you take, so Ola.in, if you, for example, they have purchased it. They didn't purchase Ola.com. They didn't purchase Ola.biz. They didn't purchase Ola. Something, Ola.something, Ola.de, Ola.nl. So what will happen is they will start taking it, and as soon as they'll start putting some junk data on the website other than yours. And after that, you will be as a, what you will do, a first step is, because you didn't book your domain name, you will go back to that person who owns it. You write an email saying, do this, why have you purchased this domain, I want this domain. Then he'll say, okay, give me $100,000 for your domain, give me $1,000 for your domain. If you're a bigger company, 100,000, 200,000. So if you see how do we search a website, we don't remember the URL. We just put a domain name, approximate domain name. So if I want to search BMSC, I won't go and say bmsc.ac.in. We have purchased both bmsc.ac.in, bmsc.in. So if you put any of them, it will be redirected to the one website. So why is that is important, that BMSC brand. So I won't go, I'll just say BMSC. So first one which pops up maybe BMSC actual website. So that you should be very careful while you're doing. So there are some guidelines by Companies Act in 2013 and Companies Incorporation Rule in 2014, which says company who deals with financial activities need to have a name related to financial aspects. And if you are having very names which are very central government like union and things like that, which is very focused, then few of the names should be like financial bank name and things like that. You should have approval from central government, respective statutory body. You can't just go to Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Limited lab, I mean, needy, all companies established as a needy, which means that, some kind of entity which has related finance again. Name should be resonance with principal object of the company, objective of the company. Name which includes the word insurance, venture capital, bank, mutual fund, everything has their regulatory approval. And remember, once you register your name, you should stick to that name irrespective of you like it or not for next 3 years. After that, you can try for change, but in that 3 years, you should build your brand, you should do everything and things like that. And whenever you give name, you usually give three choices of preferences, preference 1, 2, and 3, like how you give branch preference in college or things like that in CET cell. You should also give three preferences with respect to your names. They'll always try for first one, but that your lawyer or you yourself can check if those kind of companies exist or not. Generic names are not allowed. If you just say corporate technology, solar power and things like that, that's not allowed. Karnataka or something like that is not allowed. A proposed name should not violate emblems, trademarks, or include offensive words like how you have, there are some terms which you're not supposed to use. You cannot use or imply foreign embassy and things like that. Name cannot be used if it is similar to limited liability partnership. I'll tell you what all these things are. Okay. Entity selection. So I will give you one quiz. You have to answer it blindly, but I'll give you one quiz where you should be understanding what is that quiz. So let me share the quiz. You know where to write the quiz, right? So just a sec. I'm setting up the quiz. Oh, already I see 14 people have logged in. I have to do some small settings which I forgot to do. Okay, so open Clap and I will share my screen, just a sec. So share and then here you can see my screen, is it? Yeah. So go to Clap and I have 6 questions, very nice, interesting questions. We have to spend quality time in understanding these questions. So go there and you have to click on all the either ooclap.com/IFE or scan the QR code, whichever you are comfortable. So I'll also play along with you guys. Yeah, 80 of you have joined. How about rest? We have 200, almost 300 plus participants. So come on, all of you, please join fast. You can have your display name if you want. 122 of you have joined. Oops, sorry. So Okay, you can join now. I see 150 of you have joined, which is good. 155. As soon as I reach 200, I'll start. So join faster, guys. So if it is asking for login, you can log in. So I was trying this for quiz, I guess. So I have enabled it, but I see that it's not asking for login. Okay, fast. Yeah, I want 8 more so that we can start. I want 3 more. 197 of you have joined, which is good. So can I have 3 more students? And then we are good to start. So I'll count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, fine. Let's start. 197 is also a good number. So your first question on your screen is what type of company you want to register or have already. If you have company, have you already registered? I'm not sure if you know what does these things mean, but I'll tell you very soon about each of them. That's why I want to check. So many of you want to do private limited companies. Few of you want to do sole proprietorship, limited liability partnership, and general partnership. So out of 200 participants who have joined, we have got 125, 130. So let's understand what is sole proprietorship, PLC, LLP, general partnership, all those things in this today's class. So if you want to join, if you have not joined, the website is on the screen. So wooclap.com IFE 1811. 160 of you have answered. I want all of you to answer as fast as possible. Be very quick. Okay, because the first few of them have pressed private limited company, including me, maybe all of you are also doing it, which is good. So let's go to our second question on the screen. Do you have PAN card? You know, PAN card, permanent account number, there's a card, and there's also one person who says, I don't know, which is surprising. Yeah, I just anticipated and put that option. So I hope you know PAN card is very important for all your financial transactions once you start earning. So as a student, you may not need it, but when I was student, I got it done, which holds good. It's like very unique number for you for your lifetime on all your financial transactions. Why I asked this question, I'm not interested in your PAN card number, but I am interested to know if you have, so that I have something for you in my class today, so that it is very relevant why you want to establish a company and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have got 180 results. So let's go to the next question, third question. How would you choose the base of your company? Before you vote, what is base of your company? For example, I choose Bangalore because it is like Silicon Valley of India. That's the whole reason why I choose Bangalore. So I didn't ask what is your base. I said why. So Would you get money? Would you get, why do you choose? How do you choose that base? I will see lot of things as base. Accessibility, maybe it should be city with talents. Customer base, that's good idea. That's good answer. People have also voted their city. Delhi, I can see. Bangalore, many of you want to open your company in Bangalore or Bengaluru. Bihar, base. Mysore, knowledge. Demand, that's good answer. Cost of living, that's again good answer. Village side, okay, you want to start your company in village. I see 142 of you have answered. You see money, if you get money. Startup hub, yes. Silicon Valley, somebody wants to do. America, somebody wants to go. Resources, you see. Accessibility, you want to see. That's good. Many of you want to start your company in Bangalore. That's good. Okay, another 5 to 10 and I'll close the poll. More number of customers, capital of state. Yeah, that's a good answer. Startup community. So keep this question in your mind. I'll take one more poll in the chat after we go back to chat. So, would you like to give stake in your company to your employees? Few of you are telling yes, few of you are telling no. That's good competition. I want both yes and no. I'll tell you why sometime later. This question also I want to park and I want to discuss something after we start the chat. You have to click on the option and say submit. I don't think it takes more than few seconds. So be fast, guys, so that we can progress with the next question. We have two more questions, very simple one. Not simple, but it's a little challenging. I want to see how you guys respond to those type of questions. So 174 of you have answered. So let me go to uh, next question. So for almost 55% says yes, 2% say no. So you don't want to give stakes. Okay, let's go to the next question. First few days, would you like to hire a consultant, for example, for legal, account, finances, etc., or you will do everything by yourself, or you would, yes, you will hire it, but I would also equip myself so that I'm comfortable with it. You can understand what's going on. Yes, but I don't care how and what they do, but I want the work to be done is the second option. Third one is says no, I want to do everything by myself. I don't want to waste money on those people. Okay, we have 149, 150 answers. Okay, let another 10, 15 answers come. Then we go to the next question, which is open-ended and very interesting one and little bit challenging, I feel. Let's see. Okay, so yes, but I would also equip myself so that I'm comfortable with it. Okay, good. What was one important thing which COVID-19 has changed in your life or in anybody's life? For example, I can give you something, yeah, education, lifestyle. One thing which Ola, Share, Uber, Pool, that was so famous. Lot of things were happening, but things have not changed. No exam, that's not true. Final year students are giving exams, you guys are giving online exam. Lifestyle, education, everybody is telling education. I don't see any answer about healthcare. Let me put that. Healthcare system has also changed drastically. You can put multiple answers if you want. I see education, lifestyle, social distancing is really prominent. Self dependency, no college, okay. The college is open for people who wants to come and pursue their education in classroom from 17th as per government norms. So hospitals have changed, decrease in economy, no exams. RCB still wins, still doesn't win. Field, medical, healthcare, social life, peace of mind, economy, environment, perspective, gaming industry. That's really good. That's really good. Our appearance, lifestyle, self learning, zeal, gaming, socializing, restaurant. Yeah, restaurants, I completely agree. Nature, people eating outside has become less. Complete digital. Movies, that's good, that's good. Education, economy, healthcare, mask, your brain, that's good. Mental health, stress, way of thinking, family attachment, income, mask, mental health, restriction, life, movies, shift from offline to online, work from home, people have become fat, consciousness, eating outside food, labor shortage, online interaction, low stocks, digitization, film industry, reduction in employment, XO, I don't know what does it mean, stress level, movies, seriousness towards career, self-esteem, investment in healthcare, Zawurudu, handshakes are dead, social distancing, social interaction, homesickness, Atmanirbhar, online movie sites, more family time. Okay, fine. Okay, let me stop. I've got 400 results, which is really, really huge. Good for my social media today. Okay, the last question was that. So thank you all for answering the question. And I want to comment on few things. So let me exit. I want to do some kind of retrospection on few of the questions which I had asked. What company you want to register, that I'll talk about it little later when I have slides, even about PAN card. But how would you choose the base of your company? That's very important. How do you plan to choose the base of your company? So base of your company, there is a lot of things. People choose base where it's already flourished. Why Silicon Valley is so famous? That is, San Francisco, San Jose, that belt. And why Bangalore is famous and it's called a Silicon Valley of India. Why Hyderabad is famous? It's become startup hub now. Why Pune is famous? Why not Bombay is not that famous? And things like that. Main thing you'll see is your base. Somebody told, okay, Nagpur is coming up with startups. Vishakhapatnam, because because of the division now, Hyderabad and then competition, they are becoming like little more. And uh, there is a lot of things which have changed. You decide to take your base of your company. It's not that somebody told rural is where you want to serve, but you can't have your company in somewhere in a remote place like Gubbi or something. You can have, but the talent pool, the investment, and the facilities, resources, access to experts, access to resources, everything may be a better, you will have better edge in Bangalore rather than going to Gubbi or some other place. You can go to Gubbi, no worries, but only thing is only for talking to your stakeholders if you're doing something on your about your something on very specific about your something very related to your things, like you are very excited about something and you want to talk to farmers and things like that. Okay, so would you give the stake in your company to your employees? That's very good question and very interesting answers, almost 55-45%. I would say yes, and I would also say no. Why is that? Because giving stake to a company to your employees will give you a different outlook and your employees will stay back for longer time. Your stake value at the starting of your company may be very less, maybe 10 rupees, 20 rupees. But over the years, when you grow, when they want to sell the stakes back to you or to someone else, they'll have really huge amount they would have made. And it always goes exponentially. Before you make public offering IPO, you would actually give it to your employees. One of the biggest recruiter of BMSCE, Atlassian, I don't know if you've heard of the name. They give a package of 50 lakhs. I'm not sure if you have seen in newspaper last year, last year, and they have been coming to BMSC from past 3 to 4 years. They give 50 lakhs per annum as package. They mean by 50 lakhs is the stake is almost like 30 lakhs or something, and your pay compensation is 20 lakhs. And that 30 lakhs they won't give you every year. First year they'll give you that much of stake, and then afterwards it will automatically increase. That doesn't mean that they're giving you hard cash 50 lakhs. Your actual salary is 20 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs, I don't know. So that's one of the company based out of headquarters is in Australia. I'd been there, and also they have company in San Francisco, and then also now recently, couple of years ago, they started their company in Bangalore. So very nice environment, very friendly. I have a couple of friends who are working there. A lot of your seniors are working there, not a lot, some couple of them are working there. So that's something you should think about. And first few days, would you like to hire a consultant, legal, accounting, or finances? This is one other thing you should be really knowing about it. If you want to hire a consultant, it's always good to hire. I saw a few of you. If I see the report, yeah. So let me, yeah. So I saw that no, I would do everything for myself. There are 15 people who want to do everything for yourself. It's always you should leave your expertise. You are an engineer, encash your expertise in engineering field. Don't try to go in law firm or accounting or financing, so on and so forth. That leave it to the people who are actually equipped, who are actually very good at it. Why is that? Because you spend more time on your investments, rising investments, doing your CEO job, doing your job as maintaining your company as a founder. You have to shell out some money to those people. That's completely okay, because you will lose focus if you want to do everything by yourself. And don't be five of them said yes I'll do, I don't care what they do, but they have to do what I say, that's it. But if you don't have knowledge, but once you give that, but you should have that basic knowledge. That's why I made you to do that unit economics. Many of you said LTV is really tough, but coca is tough, and I have to do unit economics. Few of the terms I'll introduce today also. All those things you may think it's not important. It is important. You should know it. You shouldn't be an expert, but at least if your employees, your legal expert comes and says this is your IPR and you have to know, you should know the basics of IPR. If your finance guy say coca we are spending this much, sales is this much, marketing is this much, you should understand those terms. They will give you saying some suggestions, but final you will be implementing it. So answer A, I would prefer. Most of you have said that. What was one important thing which has changed over years is COVID-19, which all of you have answered, which is really good. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. Okay, so let the slide pop up. Oops. Okay. If you remember your first question, what was the first question? What kind of company would you register? I've already registered. So whenever you register a company, you should have some criteria. But finally, I'll say this is better than this if you're a startup. But what are those criteria? You should see tax liability. Are you getting maximum tax benefit? Risk of personal liability. How much of your personal liability? Say you put your house at stake, you put your some investments or your FDA and so on and so forth in stake. Preference of investors. What is a preference? What do people investors as an investor? What do I like? What kind of companies do I like to invest in? Record keeping obligations, compliance with record keeping. So there is lot of record keeping if you start as a company, as LLP or your private limited. But if you are sole proprietorship, only one record keeping, that is your, like your bakery. Hardly whatever you earn, it's all yours, and you have to just pay income tax like anybody else, like a salaried individual. Cost of formation, future goals of business. So that's something which you should see whenever you select a criteria. What are the types of legal structures? So when I share this slide, go to the below two links which is on your slide. First is you should find out, um, one is from Your Story. I'm not sure if you know about Your Story, Shraddha Sharma. So next is MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. They've given step by step. You need not pay any consultant, but still I say hire a consultant to do all this job for you, because that's not your job, right? So we'll see each one of them. What is sole proprietorship, private limited company, limited liability partnership, general partnership? So sole proprietorship is something like your bakery, hotel, and so on and so forth. It's a small, not a corporate hotel. It's small, like your the one neighborhood, like your canteen in your college, or adjacent to your home. There is a bakery. There is a bakery in your college, and things like that. That's what we'll be seeing it. That's called sole proprietorship. You are the sole owner. You are alone. You are the owner. Once the owner is not there, then the company is gone. It can't sustain it. Full decision making power lies with you. Least compliance required. Just maintain your SB account and give, like how an individual I pay tax as a faculty. So similarly, you also do it. Unlimited personal liability. If something goes wrong, you have raised funds and all your personal liability will go off. Lack of credibility among investors. Investors don't really like sole proprietorship. None of the investors will fund it. No provisions to add partners. Sole is sole. Sole is solo. Only one person. You can't add extra people in your company. Either it should be you or someone who is running company. It's only one person, like a medical shop and things like that. General partnership is another one. Low cost of entity formation, profit sharing ratio, preparation of partnership, unlimited personal liability, maximum 20 partners. So what you do is you're like 10 people, minimum is 2, I guess, and maximum is 20. What you do is like 10 people or 5 of you together, you follow a general partnership. You will have low cost entity formation, investment is very less. You prepare some partnership, you do some kind of like the same canteen, 4 of you come together and do the partnership. This was very famous long back when, like our parents generation, but now it's not famous. So 4 5 people, they come together, they start their company, they invest on that, and if something goes wrong, all your property will be gone. Like if you have seen Shivaji movie, right, the property goes to stake. That's more like sole proprietorship or general partnership. One which is very important, and all of you should be going for this, or maybe going for this, that's what even your poll answers also said, is private limited company. PVT Ltd you would have seen, or PTE Ltd if you're in Singapore, and things like that. Most common and favorite for entrepreneurs, as well as favorite for investors or angel investors, or normal venture capitalists. Limited liability, even something goes wrong, your personal assets are your house, your car, everything is safe. People will not come and pick it up or take it and then put it for auction. Restricted share value, your shares will go down. Whatever your valuation they do and however you're building, that can have multiple shareholders. Your four founders can be shareholders, new employees can be shareholders, your investor is a shareholder, and things like that. Good for raising funds. As I said, people like it, investors like it. Separate legal existence, higher compliance required because of audit, register, compliance, and so on and so forth. That's why I told you, hire a accountant, hire somebody in financing. Ultimately, after a year or so, if you're doing financial well, you should have a CFO who will take care of all those things. There is compliance is really high, so every month you have to do something, compliance, and so on and so forth. Higher compliance, few tax advantage, like first 3 years you need not pay the tax if you're a startup, something like that, and the 30% dividend tax and things like that, that will be taken. And but there's a restriction of minimum 1 and maximum 200 shareholders. After that, you have to offer public offering, and then you have to change your company. But at the start, have it as private limited company. There's another thing known as limited liability partnership. It's like blend between your private limited company and proprietorship. So it's very recent, moderate compliance required. If your turnover is more than 40 lakhs and your capital, that is investment, is 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, you should do your compliance. Limited liability benefit, superior tax advantage, no requirement of tax paying for dividend. So if you have dividend, the profit which you make, you don't know it, but as a whole, as a company which you do, that is required. So how do you register your company entity? How do you register it? Sole proprietorship, no registration is required. Just go open your bank account, put a board and get registered. I mean, you should do all those compliance getting appropriate, like BBMP permission or something like that. And you should open a bank account, current account, and then you're done. You're already a proprietor. General partnership is something, create partnership deed, register deed, and so on and so forth. This is for private limited company. Who will do the registration for private limited company? So few of your seniors who are now alumni who are doing very well in entrepreneurship, and they're incubated in BMSE. So what they're trying to do is they actually spoke to some of the companies like ClearTax. I'm not sure if you have heard of ClearTax. You just go there, pay some 15,000, which also included your fees which you're paying to government, which will be around 5,000 or 7,000, and then their expenses, the charges of your CA or CS. They will appoint one exclusive CA for you who will look your case, ClearTax people, and they will try to register all those things. They'll tell what are the documents required and things like that. What do you need for that? You need DIN, director identification number. To get your DIN, you need your PAN card, Aadhaar card, and so on and so forth. That's why I asked for your PAN card. So as an individual, once you register as director, it becomes public. So if you have not registered as director, people will not know you have company. But once you have registered yourself as director, your DIN number will be public and people know. You can't hide yourself saying, I'm not a founder, I'm not a company, I'm not a director. Next is you should need digital signature certificate, DSC. Again, it's not the sign which you do, it's a e-certificate. There are many people who will do that. There are some entities, government entities, which will help you. You should file your name. You should give choices of your name and file that this will be my company name. You have not violated any norms and things like that. You should have some status document, memorandum of association and article of association. What will your memorandum of assessments will have is objectives and investments. What's the objective of your company and what is the investment you're doing? It can be small. You should do investment. You can't say I'll do zero investment and start a private limited company. You should do investment of maybe around 1 lakh rupees, 2 lakhs, 10 lakhs, depending on how big your company is. And you should say in that investment, 10 lakhs, I mean, 10 lakhs, if you have done, 5 is from me, 2 is from my other partner, 3 is from there, and 2 is from crowdsourcing and things like that. Article of associations will have bylaws of your company and permissible, what's not permissible. It's like rules which your company should follow. And as and when, if you want to amend these bylaws or article of association, you'd call for a meeting of your board members, directors, and then they will amend it, then again put for submission. Submit these documents to Spice E from MCA. On MCA website. So 90% of it is E. That is, everything is electronic, everything is online. This was done much before pandemic. And you should, after that, you should apply for TAN and PAN applications. So if you want TAN number, PAN number of your company, not an individual. So this is how you do it. This is what your exercise. Don't bang much of your head on these things. Give it to your some CA, company secretary, accountant, and things like that. People just charge you some money and they'll actually do it everything for you, which is very less money for the efforts what they put. Limited liability partnership, also it's same like PLCs. Only thing is submit incorporation and so on and so forth. You will draft an LLP agreement and then finally file a deed with ROC. So this is not big deal which you should be worried about, but few of them also registered for LLP and then they'll go for PLC, private limited company. Okay. So choosing base of your company for your company is you should find out what is the client location. whether your client's location is Bangalore or somewhere, or accessibility of your client location. Skill employee base. Finally, once you scale it up, you should have your exclusive employees who will actually try to do a lot of work for you. So you should also have skilled labor or skilled employees. Need a foreign setup. Should you want to set up a foreign? So today you are in Bangalore, next you want in Singapore, and then in US. So is it something which you can easily expand? You should look at those things. Another thing is you should have lawyers. You should have lawyers. You should choosing your lawyers. Many of them choose wrong lawyers. They'll take some random lawyers whom they know, their regular lawyers, family lawyers, and things like that, and they'll end up saying that they'll end up having very bad experience because they're not expert in that. So your lawyer should ensure that your compliance, copyright, trademark, IPR, registration, dispute, liability. So either your attorney or your CA or both of them, but you should have legal advisor for sure. At least don't hire him off at the start, but at least have him as a consultant. Need basis, try to pay him rather than having him full time. At early stage, you won't need full time, but as and when you grow bigger and bigger, you would definitely need couple of lawyers for full time. So registration, permit, and compliance. So types of permit, you should also have some of the permits like general permit, tax, GST registrations, and all. Even though you are having less than 20 lakhs of turnover, you have to register for GST, which means that it will tell you, listen, this is what is the GST compliance, zero GST compliance you have to do. Office setup, if you want an office setup, your company, you should take municipal, BBMP. Your residential area, if it is residential area, you have to take a separate permit. Your tenancy contract, if you're a tenant, or if your own space, what is, how is that you're using, and all those things. There may be industry specific permits, like media have to take some from somewhere from media, somebody medical devices, maybe from one of the agencies which will take care of that, biotechnology, food industry from BBMP separate division, and things like that. So industry specific you may have. Transport, you may have something with transport RTO and things like that. So for that, you should, as I said in the previous, while you're registering, if you're applying for that, you should have PAN number as well as TAN. So tax deduction account number and permanent account number for various your transactions once you start doing it. One important thing which people miss is compliances. They don't comply very well. That's because techies, we really don't care about it. We are engineers. Why should I comply and things like that? No investors will come if you don't comply. If you don't comply, it's a huge loss for you even once. If there is a black mark, that will stay for longer time. So have budget for compliance. Also have budget for, while you're budgeting your company, give some budget, maybe a few thousands, a few lakhs of rupees, depending on your company size. Build a process for compliance. Even in BMSC, we do a lot of compliance check, academic compliance, we do audit, and also we do compliance of a lot of things. So that's why we have a lot of committees which come. NBA comes, NAC comes, AACT comes, VTU comes. So everybody try to come. Every college they go and they see if the compliance is really good or not. And yeah, just a second. Yeah, perfect. So next is impact, annual, quarterly, and all those things, and all the things you have to get it ratified on your board or get it approved on your board members, board of directors, or board of people who are investors who have some say. Again, there are people who can vote, people who cannot vote when major decisions have to be made, and things like that. Now, impact, if you don't comply it with all the policies, it can be standards, regulations, practices, security, control, laws, risk, strategy, policy, governance, rules, bylaws, everything you have to comply it. You should have one of them who should monitor all of them. Either you do it, if you're busy, delegate to someone to have compliance for each and everything. So if you don't comply few of the things, like what do you mean by compliance, by the way? It's more like adhering to the rules what is there. So for example, tax compliance, every yearly tax you have to pay and you have to get it sorted and things like that. So if you don't comply, there is a loss of time because you have to pay penalties. There is a loss of money and also reputation loss, because next time when they'll ask for your worksheets or your sheets of your finance sheets of your company before anybody wants to invest. If there is something they find it not okay, they may not invest, though it's excellent company. Next is HR policy. You should have human resources. You should have some labor contracts. That is like if you induct a new employee, his job, there should be a separate contract. If you induct somebody else, they should have separate contract. Labor registration, what kind of registration you will do and things like that. Should you actually register your employee? What is that safety things you see for registration of your employee? How safe your company in is your company with respect to your employees and things like that. Next is e-business policy compliance. If you're doing, I see a lot of your companies you're working on e-business, then you should also do data privacy laws. Even if you're doing online website and all, there should be some data privacy laws, credit card details, personal details, GDPR guidelines and things like that. Robust terms of use. So whenever you're using terms, people can sue you just by what you have put on your website or your agreement and all. Next is it has to be vetted by a lawyer or an expert who can do it. And payment gateway rules. So if you're using third party payment, what are the rules? If something goes wrong, if it doesn't come, so what will you do? If you're paying through Google Pay, if it doesn't work, you'll wait for 24 hours, write to them and call them and say that this didn't work, this didn't work. So those kind of rules have to be set up. IPR, we had a session on that. It's very important. Protection, monetization, infringement leading to issues. You should protect your IP so that nobody copies it or try to they start producing and they'll stop you from producing it. And monetization, how can you make money out of your IP? You own something. Can you outsource your IP to someone in some other country and they give you money? Infringement leading to legal issues. So there may be some of the infringements. For example, somebody can you might have infringed without notice. How will you handle that? Or somebody, like if you remember Apple and Samsung and some other company, there are a lot of companies, HP, Dell, everybody has legal issues, thumbs up, Coke and things like that. There are different types of IPR. We have already seen that. Trademarks, protection of your logo. Do you want to do that? Or copyright, you have something really unique thing which you have designed. So registration is not necessary, but you can use copyright, but you have to inform saying I have copyright. Patent, what kind of patents and all those things, but it's not easy to get a patent. Can you license out your patent is very important. For example, if you know ARM processor, take any device. For example, I have this mobile phone with me. This mobile phone has it has ARM processor. So each and every mobile phone which is being manufactured in the world uses say ARM processor. So they have to give royalty to Philips, ARM, NXP Semiconductors, things like that. So design protection, like Coke is one of them, which has a Coke bottle. That bottle has a design protection. Tupperware, for example, if you consider this as Tupperware, there may be one small design which is done that nobody can replicate. That you can do design protection. That's not that famous in India, but people do. Tupperware at that small edge, that is actually protected, which means that if somebody else other than Tupperware does that, they can sue that. So as an investor perspective, what people see is if you are IP, you are on a better edge than other company which doesn't have IP. Long-term returns is what they're looking at. IP ownership is with the entity. So for example, right now you might have filed a patent at this point of time, but later point of time you have formed your company, you should transfer your IP to your company name, not as individual. If you say I have 10 patents granted on my name, it doesn't matter to the investor. But if you say 10 patent granted on my company's name, entity's name, that's what matters for investor. Terms of brand sharing, if you have trademark of your brand, how will you share? Strength of protection, review frequency, legal consequences of changing. For example, there was change of branding of Canara Bank and lot of investments was done. There was change of branding of some other company. How will you do that? What are the legal consequences? How much money, monetary, and things like that. So decide on geographic extent. Public announcement is important. and how will you manage it? So there is another session which already done about patenting. Next is we have some contracts which are key aspects of contracts. What kind of contract you're doing? So there are different types of contracts. It is terms where people mind submit. So what I am thinking, what you are thinking. Even I have kind of contract with BMSCE that I will abide to that. And I've signed saying, yes, I will abide. The head of the institution have signed, which means that we have some legal binding. If I go wrong, if they go wrong, there is a probable legal battle. Written brings clarity. If you don't do it orally, if you say today, I may say that, hey, listen, I agree to that, but tomorrow I will object. Next is terms of contract. There can be long term, short term. Short term, if you are on short contract, that is for as a consultant, you have to get it renewed and things like that. Termination, what will happen if it is breach of contract, breach of trust? Exclusivity, only for you. There may be some of the contracts only because it's for you. Payment terms, if you don't comply, what will happen? Deliverables, representations and warranties, indemnity, hire a lawyer to do all these things. You don't do by yourself, tell them to do it. One of the important thing, you are five of you, you start your own company. What are the agreements you should do it? Founder agreement, very important. This is required. Your investor will ask. Decision authority, when to apply for funding. So you should understand who is the decision authority. In founders agreement, maybe I have not even invested 1 rupee, but he still have given stakes for me, but I don't have right to vote, for example, because I have not invested money. My other friend I invested 80% and somebody else 20%. They have right to vote. I've not invested, but I still have a stake of around say 10%. I don't have right to vote. That is again decided. Shareholding patterns, how do you do that? Investments, how much have done? Owners of funding, who has the owners of funding? IP ownership, expertise, remuneration, and all those things. As a CEO, as a company founder, how much money will you claim from your own company? How much salary you're doing? All these things will be put here. Employee agreement, how much IP exclusivity. This is something which people don't do it. So at this point of time, if I file a IP, it will go to BMSC because my mind, I've been paid by BMSC. So I have to work for BMSC and BMSC will have the patent. So employment termination, if somebody does that sensitive information they have, so that's why you do exit interview, you take undertaking that they won't join the competitor for next 3 years. That kind of appointment, people do that. And pay compensation, if somebody leaves the company or joining the company, what's the pay compensation? For leaving him, exit, they'll give you some money so that you are stabilized for next few months before you go ahead. There are vendor contracts which you have to do, refund policy, tax clauses, exclusivity, which means that I am manufacturing, for example, this phone. For this phone, this cover, you should sell only to me. I will order minimum of 1,000 pieces per day. So that's exclusivity. Termination clause, number of years, not abrupt closure. You should say termination clause with the vendor that I'll see for 1 year. If I like it, I'll continue. If not, I'll terminate it. I'll extend it for 10 more years and things like that. Service contracts, for example, if you have a website you have given, so that is something service contract. You should also have third party IP infringement. So you are doing, so I am giving service to your company, the other person also giving. So what I'll do is I'll give service to your company, but later what I'll do, I'll take the company's details and give it to somebody else. So that infringement have to be taken care. IP ownership, timelines of payment and things like that. Customer contracts, legal entity, terms and condition in website, nature of business, business to business, business to customer like Amazon. And I'll tell you one example. So this is very interesting story. I don't know how I forgot. I just remembered when I saw this slide. So listen this carefully. There was a fight which happened in the aeroplane, aeroplane. So let's assume the aeroplane is from Qatar Airways, or let's take Emirates or Lufthansa and things like that. So, or let's take Indian Airway, that is Indigo. Indigo has a flight from Bangalore to Singapore. Okay. In this flight, people boarded, everybody boarded. The flight started, took off, and then in between, when it was somewhere in Malaysia or something like that, on in air. Then somebody started fighting and they hit each other because of some issue. Some two customers, two passengers, and it so happened one passenger started hitting and other passenger was seriously injured. So, at this point of time, which law will come into force? Is it the law because Indigo started from Bangalore? Is it a law which India holds good? Or is it the law where they are about to land Singapore holds good? Or is it the law which, because they are flying in air, they are in Malaysia, which one will hold good? Aviation law, destination law, which law do you think? So you understood the problem, right? They were flying aviation law. What is that? It's too generic. Who defies the aviation law? So is it source to destination? Source is Bangalore. Destination is Singapore, and the fight happened in Malaysia in the air. So will it be Malaysia, Singapore, or where it will be? India. DGC India. Why DGC India? Why not Singapore? What if it is from Singapore to Bangalore, India, same Indigo flight, Singapore to Bangalore, it's coming. It happened in Malaysia. So will it be Singapore, whatever definitions? Or Malaysia, because you fought in the air in Malaysia? You know, they didn't exist something known as law for electricity stealing. Previously, people used to put that I'll come back to the answer. So Kavya is right. I'll come back to the answer. So what people said was there was something known as theft in Constitution. What is theft? Theft is something physical entity you steal. So there is a bottle like this. I steal this bottle, and then I will put it on the. I'll steal and go away. I have this mobile phone which I'll steal and go away. But electricity didn't have theft law till 1970 or 1960. I don't remember the year. But what people used to do, people used to just put one wire, and then they used to extract from the high tension wires, and they used to get power at their home. So what is that theft law? There was no theft law till long time. And once it went to the court, they said that, see, what do you mean by definition of theft? It means that it should be a physical entity which you can touch, feel, and then you can money, you can see that. But a bottle, you can see you have stolen it. Your pen, you can see you can steal it. Or a mobile, you can steal it. That's a theft law, which means that it should be physical. And what if it is not physical? You can touch and feel, like current and things like that. So that's why there came a new law for electricity board when that case happened. So similarly, for this, what Kavya was telling, so airplane which it belongs to, Indigo belongs to India. Their office is in India, I guess Gurgaon or somewhere. So that's where the law will come into picture. So that's how the dispute was resolved. Maybe it's changed, I don't know. That's the story which I've heard. So you should be very clear. You should anticipate all these things with your customer everywhere. You know, I don't know if you remember, there was something as floppy disk, a small thing which was only virus. Floppy disk you could use only once, because as soon as you put to the next one, it used to not work. If you remember, there's something known as CD, DVD. I'm not sure if you're of that generation. Now I mean, still you see that, but not much used. And then came pen drive. Now pen drive is also vanished. Everything is on cloud. You have Google Drive, you have a lot of other things. But if you remember the CD days, they had an agreement saying the CD is covered in one cover. As soon as you open the cover, you have an agreement which you're abiding to it without knowing. So that's one. So go to Google. As soon as you create something, as soon as you create any account anywhere, they'll have lot of conditions. Have you read that? You just say yes and you'll go off. But if you see what was in front of a congressman in USA, what Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, all of them, they tried to answer, but all their agreements, it's all clear crystal saying they are taking your data for so and so, so and so analysis. Next is financial statements, financial key performance indicators, and management information systems. Any questions before we go for this? If you want, you can unmute yourself and ask. Raise your hand. Do you have any questions? So again, answering the question, is it possible multiple laws coming to picture? The same thing, cyber crime, if you see, there is a whole big law. There is IT Act 2000, 2012 or something like that, which is being amended every time to time. So if you see that if somebody steals your money online, somewhere in America, and you want to sue them, which law will applicable for them? So there are some kind of agreements between countries and treaties and things like that. That's very interesting to see the law for them. So you should know what are financial statements. Financial statements, balance sheet and cash flow statement. Income statement is nothing but profit and loss. Okay. Balance sheet is what are your fixed assets, shareholder funds, net worth, borrowing, net working capital, so on and so forth. All these things comes in balance sheet. So all these financial statements, when it is due diligence, when your company will come into picture, that is your investors, they'll ask all these things. Next, you have balance cash flow statement. Cash flow statement is cash from operating activities, investing activities, and also the financing activities. So if you have all these things, it's called cash flow statement. Basically, how much money is spending with someone, how much money you owe someone, how much money they owe you, and how much they owe or how much you owe to them, is what all your cash flow is. So you do something on uh, management information system, which means that you should do financial periodical reports. Every time your board meeting, you should update your financial report to your board members. And investment, as soon as you go, they'll ask for this. And marketing, if you want to do all those things, you need to spend some money on those things. So what will you have? All this management information system, all these things you'll be having along with key performance indicators. Unit metrics, I told you unit metrics, which included marketing, your COCA, LTV, all those things will come under unit metrics. So some of the things which is already given here, booking versus revenue and things like that. I've given some examples you can go through. It's not really a great thing for you to learn at this point of time, but you should know at least what each point means, how do you calculate it and things like that. So booking versus revenue, for example, booking, if they do gym subscription, how much revenue are making? They'll do subscription for 12 months, but you're getting paid for 10 months. If you pay for 1 year, Amazon Prime is 9.99, but if you pay for every month, it is 129. So that's what, but how much revenue you are making. Gross merchandise value versus revenue is something which you'll see when you're doing online transaction. Revenue run rate is nothing but how much revenue you're making for last 12 months. Gross profit is revenue minus direct cost. Lifetime value is number of transactions into profit per transactions, which you know. Customer acquisition cost, you know. Monthly burn is how much money you're burning, how much cash burn you're doing. So that's investment more like at starting, but after some time you will be burning a lot of cash for your marketing and things like that. Average revenue per user, conversion rate, how many people come and how many people purchase it is conversion rate. Cohort analysis, so things like that you should be very comfortable with. So myths of financials in startups is accountant is for CAs, which means that I am not CA, I'm not chartered accountant. Why should I really uh, worry about it? That's really myth. Don't do that. At least know what does it mean. Can't deal with numbers. Numbers are very easy if you understand. If I give you again LTV COCA assignment for a new company, you will come and you will judge them. So that's how you guys have done assignment. Hi Tejas, do you have any question?
No, no.
Okay. So can't deal with numbers. If you think no, it's very easy. Finance involves only with valuation. So think about only with valuation. That's again wrong. It's beyond valuation. How much your company worth? It's beyond that. So finance helps in accessing business performance, financial obligations, your compliance, intervention areas. Where do you think you should invest more? Where do you think you should invest less? Where do you think your money is going waste? Where do you think money is in gain? Financial requirement. Next 1 year, if I have to run the company, what's my requirement? Identifying source of finance, from where I should get the finance. Allocation procedure, budgeting procedure is easier. Measuring progress, reporting, advisory function. Also it gives you advisory function. It will tell you what to do, what not to do. Working capital is the investment which you try to do. Fixed asset and working capital. Fixed asset in the sense for infrastructure as non-recurring expenses, for devices, for infrastructure, for your company, for your room furniture, equipments required for your R&D, for manufacturing, all those things. Working capital is operational expenses, which is not constant, for salaries from maybe somebody comes, you have to take them for dinner, incentives, so on and so forth. It's always fluctuating, but you'll have some budget for that. Inventories, receivables, bank, and cash. Inventories are nothing but something which is already there. Receivables are something which you should receive, which they'll give you tomorrow. In bank, how much? In cash, how much? Depends on the nature and size of business, production cycle, type of industry, business fluctuation, access to banking facilities, profits, and taxes. So few of the things which is very generic. The president in US get 100 days to prove himself. In India, 5 years to prove himself. Whereas you get only 30 days to prove yourself, right? You won't get lot of time to prove yourself. So think that you're getting only 30 days to know. So this initial 30 days, you have to slog a lot to make your company work. If you're taking more than 30 days to do some of the important things which was discussed in today's class, which means that you are taking a lot of time, and you may, irrespective of how big or small the company is, that will really cause you a lot of repercussions. Start is a transition. Success or failure during the first month is strong predictor of overall success or failure of your company. First month is very important for anything for that matter. First month you should be able to decide what you're doing. Things to keep in mind, this is in generic, not very specific to India or anywhere. What are the traps you'll have? What will unbalance the company? There may be something, your assumptions or anything which can happen, which will actually be a trap for you. Get out of your current job. If you think that part-time entrepreneurship I want to do, that's not something it will work. At least out of 5 founders, 2 of them should be full-time and run the company, and you can take more money as your salary compared to others. Need something tangible, a reason to leave. If you're using employees resources to create it, you are in legal trouble. Read your employee agreement carefully. Like if I'm in BMSC, I'm doing something using resources of BMSC for my company, then I'm in legal trouble. IPs I may not get if I file it here. As I said, get out of your current job, take 6 months off, take clear break, but make sure you have bread and butter. Team formations, opinions of CEOs quickly. Don't give C jobs to CXO jobs to employees who will join. One more thing I want to give caution is, if you have very close friend, don't work with them unless you're very good in terms with the person, saying you're very strict, saying this will happen. If you're considerate and you say, hey, he's my friend, he's my brother, he's my father, so I'll be very good at with them, you will have good relation, but inside you'll be killing yourself and your company. Team forms opinions of CEO quickly. So demonstrate credibility, you will gain momentum. Demonstrate incompetence, then kick them out. So founders first meeting, understand what's your vision of your company. What if something doesn't work? Inspirational and set tones, make it epic. That's something very important. Your first meeting, all founders come together and say, this is what we are going, this is what we are going to see some times later. Culture its strategy for breakfast. This was by Bill Ollett long back in 2014. Very interesting article. You should just check that. Just Google, you'll get this article. We'll have more details about how culture is important in your company in next class. As a founder, honest and frank discussion should happen. Get it all on the table. Don't keep anything inside. Upfront, you have to tell them either nicely or upfront, and be very realistic. Don't fight fairly. Healthy competition, debate, and be productive. Don't go and fight collar to collar, neck to neck, but try to have healthy discussion and come out with why you are right. Job description for all of them, you should define that this is your job as your CEO, this is your job as CFO, and things like that. So what is your personal commitment, and you should catch hold if doesn't happen. If you've given him a position, if he's an employee, you should catch hold. If he's something, you should catch hold of that person. All need to roll up the company's overall goal, milestones, and commitments, which will never end. This has to be a never ending process. Every day, every minute, you should be thinking about these things. In your founders agreement, which was discussed earlier, you should have a lot of things put. What is your initial percentage of ownership? How much if you are ready to dilute if some investment comes? Write a founder stock. As a founder, you should always have like 10% minimum as, you know, or 5% minimum or some X% minimum as your right, that yeah, in respect of any kind of investment comes, company is full of investment, we finally have this minimum thing which we'll do. Vesting, how will you rely on others investment? Buyback, if you can buy back some of your stakes later. Voting rights, termination, percentage of company, your exit, decision making, voting power, that is non-compete agreement, that you will go and start your another company of the same as competition. Maybe you got some uh, fight between your co-founders, you start your another company. Intellectual property, money put into date, mediation, salaries, and all these things you should put. Mediation, if something doesn't work, what whom will you go and mediate? Co-founders should also get offer letter, employment agreements, non-compete, definitely yes, non-disclosures, non-solicitation, assignment of inventions, disclosure of existing IPs. They have to do all these things is very important. Employment contract, you should have a few things in place. If your employee leaves the company after 10 years, then you should have a option for you to buy back the option. So in terms of financials, you are building a company that going to get huge and have withstand many investors, an IPO, press, demanding customers. So more like IPO is initial public offering. What time you'll go as public? Initially, you'll have only investors, your board of directors. But once you grow big, you should allow people to come in and talk about it. Come in and tell them that this will work, this doesn't work. So, like you buy now Infosys stock, you buy TCS stock, you buy some other stock. That is public offering. Initial days you won't do it, but later point of the time you should be doing it. So these are some of the finances which I discussed. Your bank account details is important. Accounting is important. Your lawyers, be very good. Have very good corporate lawyers rather than something a normal lawyer. IPO versus acquisition. Your initial public offering or acquisition. What time your exit? Prepare for litigation again, hostile parties. If somebody is hostile, if somebody is not performing well, if somebody is coming and putting, you should be ready for litigations. When will founder leave? Considering extreme dilution if one leaves before later rounds. So there are different rounds of funding. So once you go for 3 or 4 rounds of funding, that's when you'll decide saying, this is the time I should stop, I should leave the company and go. There is a time that after 10 years down the line, you leave your company, give it to someone else and go. That's how investors are born. Many of the investors, they sell the company to someone, take a lot of money and then leave and start investing in different companies. They become directors of many companies, and that's how they make money. Next, you have board of directors. You should have meetings, very regular meetings. This resolutions, this minutes of the meetings have to be submitted to appropriate, compliance authorities. Compensation committee should be there. Audit committee should be there. There should be a committee for all of them. It may be same people, but you should have formed all those committees. Board meetings, you should prepare at least 3 weeks. You should take group head status, like HODs of all the departments, you should call them. For 2 weeks, review inputs. The week you send the material to board member, at least 1 week before, And last 2 days, call for specific issues and take their complaints much beforehand so that they are not surprised when you present it on the board meeting. Some of the common mistakes as CEOs we do is stick to what we only know. We don't care what others know, but be very open and tackle takes action too quickly. Hasty decisions will be a problem. Take bad decisions and sets unrealistic expectations with the team, board, customer, market, and all those things. So be a little more open and tries too much to do and too many initiatives. No, that's really not a good idea because you will fail in many of them. Launching many rockets simultaneously is not a good idea. Instead of that, launch one by one. Once something is settled on, then go for next. Remember the first class we talked about focus. Focus is very important. Board meeting, board's a number one job. Mishandles board, you go and tell something. Every meeting is a job interview. It's like interview, how you're giving interview to the board members, because board is the ultimate people who can distract or who can come up with a better company. Advisors, it's always good to have advisors. You should have board of advisor or at least one advisor or mentor starting, and afterwards you'll start putting multiple advisors. Not a legally defined term, but it's good to have advisors. Should we you be giving a stock option or some compensation? There are people who will give you advice. So if you come to me, I'll give you wonderful advice of your company first time, second time, third time. If you come, then I'll say, yeah, I'll look into it and go off. Fourth time I'll say, yeah, I'm little busy, you check with somebody else. But if you're giving me a compensation, if you're giving a stock option, it's my company, it's that I am getting paid for working, or it's my company, so I'll obviously work all my heart out for the company and give you better advice, come and handhold you a proper way. Hiring, always be on the lookout. Don't stop your hiring process unless you are really full. And be entrepreneurial math, like 100% of 50% of people or 50% of 100% of people. So you should have entrepreneurship amplifiers, which means that they should amplify your company rather than reduce your company values. Hire for values and potential and train for skills. Don't just hire to job specific. You hire them, train for some extra skills so that you can make the maximum out of what you're trying to pay. There are different process which you can adapt. Try and buy, you tell them, try as an intern, so I'll try you for 2 months as intern. If I like it, I'll buy you as an employee. You pay huge amount and buy it. Is it a good option? Hiring someone is a big commitment, so be very cautious. So interns is very good. Even there was some internship opportunity recently they are taking, and if you perform well, they'll make you as a employee. Been there, done it. So if they have already done it, take them and tell them this is also the similar, why don't you do it? And at some point of time, don't be so possessive about your company, your baby. You should be very possessive about your company, yes, but after some time you should let it go. You should take a director's role and keep quiet, and CEO, you should bring in a new CEO who can bring new dimensions for your company. You know, the founders of Google, founders of Flipkart, Amazon are not the CEOs anymore. People do change, they bring a better person, they are paid very high, I know that CEOs, but they'll be the face of the company. But you will be there because you have done enough for your company. You should be in an advisory role, start a new company, or you should start investing in other companies, but you still have director role. Sometime you can exit if you think it's too much. Have offer letters, employment contracts, and things like that. Don't allow anyone to start your company or be part of your company, including yourself and your co-founders, without signing any contract. In writing, it will be clarity. You will be also very safe. So that's why you need a legal person who can help you out with all these things. Careful with consultants too on IP ownership. So if you're hiring a consultant for working on some specific project, tell them upfront very clear that you are giving them IP rights or you are holding the complete rights. Compensation also, you can do it on based on different kinds of compensation. So it can be base pay, or it can be yearly performance. It can be how fast you can do it. If you do it very fast, you'll get maximum. If you do little faster, then you'll get less. If you do slow, you'll get even lesser. Give them stock options, give them different kinds of options, benefits if they're employees, and so on and so forth. So vesting is very common. So people do this vesting 4 year in customary, which means that it's like you give some kind of authority to them to actually work on something. The vesting will lie for either 4 years or 3 years. Do something of, you will get 25 years. If not, you don't get anything. If you leave in between, you will get nothing. If you leave 25%, you will get after 1 year. If not, if you leave the previous day of first year, then you will not get anything. Things like that. No guarantee of future employment and things like that. You can put some of the poses. Incentive stock options, you work for something, I'll give you some incentive as employee, and you give some buyback options if the employee terminates, and make sure you get everything right on black and white so that in future your company is safe. So you can issue stocks, as I gave the example of Atlassian, and you should have proper dilution table, how much you will dilute for stocks. If you have a major investment coming, they want more stocks in them. How will you ask them? How will you compensate your employees who already have it but still retain their job? HR policies have told you everything should be there, everything, and be very friendly with your employees at least for a few months, but make them work, make them feel comfortable, and make them to feel that it's their company. Office rent also, your rental investment is very important, and it can be your own space. What is that? Rent and security deposit, all those things you should be very clear. Office, how will you have your office? Think that, okay, I started in garage, I agree with that, but do you have sufficient internet access, furniture? If pandemic comes, how will you help your office? How will you help your employees? Computers, kitchens, coffee, snacks. There are many companies who give free snacks if you stay after 7 p.m. All of them leave their office at 6, so they give additional 1 hour. Why do they do that? Is that they give free snacks after 7 p.m. so that you can work extra. They give you coffee unlimited free throughout the day. The company, they'll give you biscuits, cookies for free. They give you lunch for free for some of the places, and have many disciplines of your coffee and things. Insurance for your company and for individual, your property insurance, things like that. If something goes wrong, how will you manage that? So there is a lot of things. So the key for success is there's a lot of things you should consider. So you can't do it alone. That's why whenever you're doing a company, a startup, always you should have two people together rather than one single person. So there is one nice video, you can check this on YouTube. I'll post the link, and if you have any questions, I'm ready to take. So do you think there's a lot of things which you have to do in 30 days? Yes, no, to just have a pulse of if you're still with me or you are. Okay, I see. Yes, yes. Are you guys there? Hello. Okay, majority of you are there. You are telling yes, that's good. And do you have any questions before we close the session? You can unmute yourself and ask, or you can raise your hand. I'll unmute you. I see RBK has raised his hand. So first 30 days is not really very easy. So don't think that your first 30 days is something which you will do a lot of miracles. You have to do it, but it takes a lot of time and efforts from each one of you to actually work on your first 30 days. So be very, very cautious about your first 30 days. So do you think that you can finish everything in just one just by doing 24 steps? No, right? If you remember previous class, we had also discussed about doing beyond 24 steps. So it's not that your things have ended. There are a few more things which we'll discuss in the next class, and then we'll start preparing for a final exam. And I am also getting startup Karnataka, one of the expert to talk, and we also have one more expert. You may have two more guest lectures, guest speakers. Otherwise, if all of you are fine, if you don't have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask. I'll give you another 3-4 minutes. Then we'll go for breakout session and then we'll close the meeting. Any questions? No questions?
ನಿನ್ನ ಹೆಸರೇನು?
Shashank? If you have any questions, you can raise your hand, unmute yourself and try. Okay, if you don't have any questions, we'll go to our breakout rooms. You can go and have some fun. And if you are okay with it, you can leave after that. Okay, I am giving you that, and I'll open the breakout sessions for another 10 minutes or so. And then I've opened it. You can go there and talk to each other, and then done.